And you beautiful man, you have done it again. I would kiss you, but you might give me AIDS or put Black Widow spiders up my ass. Yeah, I've seen your Twitter. I saw that picture of them spider eggs, and you're a fucked up guy that would do something like that just for a joke. Also, your baby's metal as fuck! Giving people a finger the second you take its first photo. Anyway, back to the review. This is going to be rather short, as like Plague of Shadows, it's just an expansion pack / DLC. But, unlike Plague of Shadows, it does not change the core gameplay. It's still WASD to move and the arrow keys to shoot your tears. So I will leave a link in the description below to my Rebirth review, as anything I said in that about controls, graphics and music still hold up here. But for a quick recap, the controls are still very responsive, the art is still pixel art, and the music still sounds kick-ass as ever. So again, check out the review for Rebirth below for more in-depth review of them elements. For now, we will focus on the 4 new main elements that have been added to Afterbirth, them being the dailies, new characters, the extensions like the extra levels, and the much anticipated greed mode. There are, of course, more than that, like the 74 to 120 new items, new bosses, new music and other additions, but that is what the patch notes are for, so let's dive right into Afterbirth with the dailies. So, the dailies to me are one of the additions that's just okay. I understand why people wanted them, but unlike Spelunky that was built around a point-based system, or Nuclear Throne that technically never ends, the longer you go, the more points you rack up, Isaac doesn't really have a true way of quantifying score beyond time taken and how close you get to the end. So, it was not really needed to me, but Ed and the team still did a good job on the scoring system, given the nature of the game, with extra points being awarded for every extra consumable like keys that you have left over at the end, so good job there. Moving on to the new character, it's hard to say how well she truly works as a new member of team, as now playing the game, it's clear that she is made for those who have had the game for a while due to her having a higher level unlock rate, shall we say, and the difficulties that she brings when it comes to using her, which is great, as a lot of people were saying that Rebirth was too easy. I will agree on that, but it's certainly debatable. I mean, it's still mostly get Guppy and you win, but it certainly seems like it's going to be hard to take her all the way to the end of the game. But I will need more time to make my decision on that, as I've only just unlocked her and have like only 2 to 3 runs with her, 4 to 5 hours into Afterbirth total. But let's face it, you're not here for the dailies or the new character. You're here for the 2 big things that are new. The new areas and greed mode. And they're why I'm here too, even though the first one is a little bit of where all my criticism definitely comes from. So, let's move into the first part, which is the new areas, and then we will get to the highly anticipated greed mode. Now, this new area, it's not so much what it is, but where it is. You see, Ed and the team said that it will make going down to the dark room worthwhile, and in a way it does, and by that I mean no one's found it yet, because half the content is hidden somewhere very deep down in the game, and no one's found it, because they took the data mining Rebirth rather seriously and hid it rather well. And now the subreddit is in this big whole kerfuffle with the 109 mystery, and you just got all these different people trying to be like, oh well, the green machine breaks at 109 and money equals powers ID number 109, and that's how a mystery should be. Everybody trying to solve it with all these little clues rather than people data mining it. So good job there. But one area that was found that everybody can find, and I found on my first run as well, is the Womb 3, or the Blue Womb. Now, this concerns me, as yes, the blue womb is fucking awesome, and the boss down there, while it's always the same boss, is amazing to see for the first time, and fun to run through with most of the characters. My problem lies in all the extra time it takes when going to these areas. If you're having a bad run, you might go to the Womb 3 and it can give you up to 7 new items if you're lucky, 2 if you're unlucky. But the boss is tanky as hell and can take 10 to 15 minutes to take down, even with a strong run, because his HP scales with your damage. And let's pretend the 109 mystery was solved and you can get to Limbo or the secret area beyond the Dark Room. We can only imagine, because it's beyond the Dark Room, it's bigger than the Dark Room and harder, so it might take 10 to 15 minutes to clear that. That's an extra 30 minutes to your run. And I look at this from both a content creator and consumer standpoint, that too many areas add too much time, and that can be a bad thing. From a content creator side of things, like myself, I know the perfect time for a YouTube video is 20 to 30 minutes. Long enough so that people are not left wanting more, but just long enough for one sitting. As it stood, a Rebirth video could be 30 minutes to an hour an episode, and only because it was Rebirth did viewers let it slide. Now, here in Afterbirth, runs can be 45 minutes to an hour and a half, like my first Lilith run was. And I noticed, out of all the videos I do, that was the one with the least views, as long watch times mean people are less likely to watch or even listen to the end of the video, and you risk damaging the content creator, and in a roundabout way damaging yourself because it's not being promoted as much. On the consumer side of things, again, talking about the long play times, it can really damage you, because if you want people to go through the Womb 3 or Blue Womb and the new area of the Dark Room, and they're having a bad run, it might take them up to 45 minutes to an hour and a half, which is a long time that some people don't want to invest into a single run. FTL had this problem, where it was way too much of a time sink. I know lots of people that played FTL. Northern Lion, Icy Blade. I even played it, but 3 hours on a single run to get turned to dust by the flagship? 3 hours was way too much of a time sink. And look where FTL is now. For all 3 of us, gone. Lost to the garbage pile of Steam games that we will never touch again. I fear Afterbirth is going the same way. Fuck me, you have to take the Lost to the Womb 3. I don't care how many buffs you give the Lost. 9 lives, full guppy, holy mantle. Not taking 2 hits on Hush is going to be so much of a pain in the arse, and it could easily take 2 hours to beat Hush. Just because you can't shoot him, you're just going to have to dodge and dodge, and it could take 2 hours to beat the Lost with, or to beat the Hush with the Lost, and that is just a time sink that people do not want to invest into. So let's just move on to the much anticipated greed mode, and keep that in mind, Ed, because I will be coming back to this point in the final verdict. Okay, lastly, let's move on to greed mode. Fuck me, do I love greed mode. It's so much fun. All of the new ways and strategies you have to think up when in that mode, the new boss of greed mode being ultra greed, the mechanic is really damn fun despite how simple it is. Basically, all you do is press that button in the middle and fight off waves upon waves of enemies until the end. Every wave charging your spacebar item by 1 and dropping some pennies on the ground. By the end of the 10 waves, you'll have about 30 to 45 cents, allowing you to buy 2 to 3 items in the shop. More if you're buying consumables to open up things like the item rooms. But your money is limited, so you have to spend wisely and try and keep some left over, for after Ultra Greed is defeated, you get the new Greed Machine that you need to put your remaining coins into in order to unlock more stuff. It's so fun to play, bar one character that I'm going to be bitching about a lot on my Let's Play, which is the Lost, but you probably already knew that. So, with that rather simple but rather fun mode wrapped up, let's just move on to the final verdict. So, my final verdict for the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth is... average 3 out of 5. Oh, yeah! I bet that shocked you all, didn't it? Now, don't get me wrong. Isaac is still a great game, and it's still fun. For the most part, I'm looking at you, Lost. But it's been 5 years since its original release, and at this point, we know what Isaac is. The original was fun. Rebirth was a fantastic remake. Afterbirth, it has some really cool features like greed mode and new items, but you can now start to see the cracks. The time it takes is starting to push towards FTL. The harder floors, like the burning basement and the flooded caves, look and sound fantastic, but highlight how much the Lost is going to piss you off to get him to hush. And while Hush is a nice fight once with every character, he's way too tanky and adds way too much time to a run to make you want to fight him any more than that. Afterbirth is getting a very high grade and a pass from me, but this is your peak, Ed, Tyrone. This is where you need to stop. Just stop. No more extra floors, no more new items. Stop. There can be such a thing as too much of a good thing. I love Isaac in all its iterations, but now it's starting to wear thin. I don't want you to end up as shit like Five Nights at Freddy's or Call of Duty, where you shit out the same game every year only with slight feature changes. Once, David Tennant said a very good line when he was leaving Doctor Who, and everybody asked him why. David, why are you leaving? You're an amazing doctor. His response? I'm leaving now when I will be missed the most, rather than 2 or 3 years when I will have outstayed my welcome. I remember it making me smile, and despite everyone saying he would never outstay his welcome because he was that good of an actor, he was right. It's good for something to end when it will be missed the most, rather than when everybody's sick of it, because it will stay in your mind and you will remember it for years later. Right now, I remember Banjo-Kazooie years later after it ended. I remember the original Spyro games years after they ended, because they ended when they were missed the most. I mean, like things like Spyro and Castlevania, yeah, there's Kickstarters like Ukulele to bring them back, but we've had a nice gap, we've had a break, and now is a good time to bring them back. For you, this is where my point comes in, Isaac. My Little Pony has outstayed its welcome, going on for a 6th season with only the material for 4. Call of Duty has outstayed its welcome with the same shit every year, only we added a dog this year. Five Nights at Freddy's has outstayed its welcome several times over. Don't let Isaac become like that, Ed. I would be happy to see it end now, rather than next year when Before Birth comes out and the stick becomes old hat. Stop now and go work on eugenics, because I want to take a cat and rub it on a cat and watch that cat get all fat. But more, because if you end Isaac now, you will end Isaac when it is missed the most. You will end it when everybody has it fresh in their minds. They want more of Isaac, but you've ended it so that they keep wanting more and they keep remembering it. Like we remembered Banjo-Kazooie, like we remember Spyro. because they ended at the right time. And then in 10, 15 years, when everybody misses Isaac, then make another one. Don't be a Five Nights and shit them out every year. And with that, I end the video for you all.
Oh, it's happening! It's finally happening! Physical form? Don't mind if I do!